fed wire is Q5 here in Maine. And the wire array, I can't even tell he's there.
Yeah, I'm hearing you here quite well in Virginia too. Hold on, I switched rigs. I gotta check stuff real quick. Okay, sorry about that. HC5DX from W3MMR. Yeah, very good. Little light in here, but pretty much 100% copy. Oh, it's not too often you work DX like that on AM, so that's real cool. I'm not going to hold it long because I'm starting to deal with quite a few more people in here. Switch rigs over to the HC32 and KK4. I'm getting a little bit more head blowing in here. Up to 53 degrees, and after a transmission it might hit 60. I might be able to peel off the layer of salt. Maybe take my jacket off. Okay, Kevin, I'll check out the ART tube MP. I'll check that out online. I'm just kind of curious what that looks like, because I can't imagine how they'd make something that cheap, but again, it is Chinese, so they're able to crank out some stuff for little money. And it runs off a 9-volt wall wart. So I guess they're running 9 volts on the plates of that thing. I don't know. I'm going to have to look at the schematic thing around. It'll be interesting. Let's see, let me get this thing around here. I believe it goes to Gary in Florida. And the scratch pad is starting to get a little full now. So here's where the confusion happens. WD4NKA and the morning group, this is W4SVA.
Okay, Gary, good morning to you, and have a good day, buddy. Thanks for being there. And you were real strong on your last over, Gary. Kevin sent me a message, Tim, and said that he was the wife called him, and he had to jump out. So it goes to WA1HLR. What's the name? KK4GZQ.
Okay, are you hearing me, Kevin? I'm running low power, and I'm on a different antenna.
You're right at the noise floor, Tim. Over.
Yeah, hang on a minute. There, well, that's better. I'm into the array at low power. Hang on, let me flip the switch. Gotta drop it. Yeah, looks good. It's interesting. I can hear Gary, who had a absolutely non-existent signal, along with, I think that's Dave HC5DX. But on the sloping end-fed wire, almost Q5 for Gary and Q5 for Dave. Yeah, the sloping end-fed wire is an outgrowth of another antenna that I put up to as a receiving antenna to get rid of a particularly annoying individual by the name of Glenn Bastard, who only lived about 15 miles from here. And it didn't work because I would have had to have the thing broadside north and south, because a full wavelength antenna, end-fed full wave, has an extremely deep broadside null at any angle of radiation. It's just a hole. So if you position a station in the hole, you can knock them down incredibly. So that was the game plan, and I could orient them off the end, but due to the tilt angle being that the feed point end was about 60-70 feet in the air, and the other end, the north end, is up at about 180 feet on one of the towers. So it's basically a sloping long wire, and I've used it on 160 with good results, but it does not outperform my rather low 160 meter dipole for most work. So, you know, ice storm came, and the feed point end of it with the wind and the ice got hung up in the trees, and I have not been able to free it. So I'm gonna probably have to pull the whole thing down and restring it. Just can't get it out of the trees. Or else I could get the feed point end up about 70 feet, which would help have it out in the clear. But as it is, I have one of them, one of those Nye Viking so-called matchboxes. I didn't pay money for it. It was given to me, and I have it in an old refrigerator. Yes, a great use for old refrigerators is to use them as dog houses for antenna tuners. And keeps them out of the weather, and furthermore, being that a refrigerator is all metal structure, it's totally shielded. So I have the MB5 matchbox out there, and you run into situations where you can have, using open wire line or what have you, with other antennas, but with open wire line fed antennas where you have a kind of a slight odd length antenna and odd length feed line, where you'll have probably two resonances, maybe more, of a real good match, where you don't need to adjust the tuner when you go from band to band. And with the 160 dipole that I use a lot, it just so happens that it's when I have it set up for 75 at this area of the band, it also is perfectly flat on 1885, so I essentially have an antenna where I can go from 3085 to 1885, and I don't have to touch a thing except the transmitter band switch. That's it, and retune. of other antennas, and it just, you know, at 75, I always get the report, well, it's an S unit down. It's like, well, I guess if a nice storm happened and everything fell down but that antenna, any port in a storm, at least I'd be able to get on the air with it. But I found it to have some interesting characteristics on 40 meters. You know, it's a real long haul. Extremely long haul. I very well, I'll just set it up that way for the winter, and then from time to time play around with it. And then I discovered that it had what I would call a parasitic system resonance in the 80 meter band around 3750 or a little lower. It's flat, so I have two bands, but by the time you get up here, it's got a bad match. So that's what I was doing, was running the Junction 600 in the low power mode and trying to couple power into it. But, geez, I was hearing Gary and I was hearing Dave. Yeah. Well, I don't think I'm going to stick around here much longer. I'm going to try and head back to bed. I've only had about 5 hours of sleep, and if I get another 2 or 3 in there, I'll be doing all right. So I'm gonna get out of here. Those little ART preamps, well, you know, Chinese 12AX7s, I don't know. I think the Walmart delivers, I think there's 30 volts DC in there, and, you know, when you have very low voltages on vacuum tubes, you don't quite have any gain, and I think they do it for the effect. Because there's certain musicians that are the mindset of, well, they like the sound that a tube amplifier stage makes when it's driven into distortion. They call it the tube sound. To me, an amplifier should amplify a signal, not add any of its own artifacts. But a lot of people seem to think that that's the way to go. And I think there's a switch that'll, you know, tube enhancement or not. So I would not run with the tube enhancement. But I don't know. I don't hear much difference, because we've got one of those things or something just like it up in Monticello at BCQ in the studio, and it had 2 channels, you know, so we had 2 microphoniums, and then one channel died, where it's all noise and hiss and hum. Replace the tube, it doesn't make a damn bit of difference. So I open the thing up, and there's a lot of surface mount crap in there. I tried replacing the tube. Didn't change a thing. So, I don't know. The things they sell people these days. Anyway, I'm going to cut out of here, and K4SVA, geez, what an improvement in signal. When you mentioned HT30 and HT33 amplifier, I was thinking, oh, God. In stock form, an HT32 is rather restricted. Same with the HT37, but the HT32, if you get in there and fix things up with the audio on AM, it does a tremendous job. So obviously, you or somebody has had their hands in there, because it really sounds good. It's fat and fully modulated up here. So I'm just going to listen out. I'll see you all later. I gotta try and head back to bed before it's broad daylight. Chris, go ahead, and then to Kevin, I guess. I'll be listening out. W3MMR from WA1HLR.
K4BKC. Good morning, Tim.
Bob, good signal. Been a while.
Let me, hold on a second. What do we got going on here? Alright, there we go. So anyway, yeah, 7-3 to you, Tim, and kind of got a rather large group in here, so I won't keep it long. Just relaxing. It's 19 degrees. I guess everybody's dealing with this cold. Here, it's pretty much gripping the majority of the country, the eastern half of the country anyway. So I think the wind chill's down to about 5 degrees this morning. And using the, like I said earlier, the new balance tuner here this morning, everything seems to be working good. This is my first tuner build, so I'm happy with the way it came out, and using a 125-foot 600 ohm ladder line fed doublet up about 60 feet, and that thing tunes on 160. You get down to about 1.8 to 1 on 160, hooked up as a short dipole, but I run out of inductance. But it tunes flat on 80, 40, 20, 17, and I haven't tried it on any other bands, so it works pretty well, and I'm pretty happy with it for my first tuner that I get to damn my antenna to tune up on all those bands. So I don't do much operating on 17. I do a bunch of operating on 20 and 40, and obviously here on 80, but so the main bands that I use I can get on with ease, so I'm very happy. Very happy with that. The thing is just so damn big, I got to figure out where I'm going to put it. I had to move my NC303 off the desk to fit it in there so I could test the thing out. So I gotta figure out where I'm going to put it. I might have to run the feed line a little different into the shack now, but it'll be worth it. So I guess it's an upgrade from using an MFJ Versa Tuner 5 to a big hefty double balance tuner that can handle anything that I'll ever be able to throw at it. Well over 1,000 watts of carrier. I mean, this thing is pretty damn beefy. Quarter inch copper tubing for the inductors, a big 10 kV vacuum cap, half-inch braid for all the connections. The connections for the inductor taps and connections for the cap, and then I'm using the quarter-inch copper tubing for the rest of the connections going to the knife switch that switches the cap in front or in back of the inductors. So this thing can, and it's a big 100 amp knife switch, triple pole double throw knife switch, and then there's a double pole single throw knife switch as a disconnect on the top, and that's 100 amp as well. So this thing's built to the nines, and it's not so it can handle. I wanted to build it that way so it'll last me forever, hopefully. And I'm pretty proud of it. I think it came out pretty good there. So anyway, we'll keep it moving along here. Kevin, I don't know if David signed out. I didn't have a copy on him here because of my noise level. He was right at it. Here he's about 10 over S9, but my noise level is about an S9. So unfortunately wasn't able to make out much of what he was saying. So I'll turn it down to David, and if that's wrong, Kevin, please correct me. HC5DX from W3MMR. Oh, actually, no, you know what? We'll turn it over to W4BKC, actually, and then he could turn it down to David, if that's all right with you, Kevin. So over to you, W3MMR, and it goes to HC5DX after you.
And Bob, I need to break in for a minute. I need to break in just for a second, guys, and recognizing KN4HH as well, but we skipped Frank. WA1HLR, and it was my fault. David came in, then Perry. So let me make sure I have it here. So Bob, why don't you pick it up, K4BKC, send it over to Frank, WA1HLR. Frank, you pick up Bob, KN4HH. Bob will send it down to Ecuador to HC5DX, David, and David, you'll send it back to Chris, W4SVA. This is KK4GZQ for ID. Go ahead, Bob. Good morning.
Well, KK4GZQ and the fine group. This is K4BKC. Bob in Columbia, Tennessee, where it's 22 degrees and clear, and the grass is crunchy. So, not a whole lot going on here. I just woke up early this morning and decided to make some coffee and stay up. And here you guys are. Very nice signals from everyone. With Dave signed and Tim signed. 7-3 to both of you. And I'll keep it moving along. Let's see, WA1HLR, I believe it was. This is K4BKC, Bob in Columbia, Tennessee. Go ahead, sir.
Frank, are you still there?
I think he may have signed.
Okay, Chris. Thanks for that. And then KN4HH will get it next, and then it goes to Ecuador, to HC5DX. Morning, Bob.
Okay, thanks, Kevin. Good morning to you. KK4GZQ in the group, KN4HH. Very good morning. Very beautiful signal, 20 over 9. Congrats on that new tuner. It's obviously doing its job because you sound really well, and you're pumping a lot of RF down this way, so great to hear you this morning. That's great. And, yeah, I didn't hear anything from Frank. Bob, good morning to you. Bob, it was sure great to see you on Saturday. That was a great visit we had. And had a little demo time in the vehicle, and that was a lot of fun. So I sure did enjoy visiting with you. And we've got 29 degrees here this morning. Supposedly it's overcast out, but allegedly the weather service, which is just a mile and a half away, says it's 29, and we're going to get a high of 52 today. Kevin, how did things go? I know you and your mom had that appointment the other day. Next time around, I sure would like to know how things went and what the course of action might be. I'm really glad that you're going to take care of that. Okay, let's see if David's still there, and we'll give it a try. HC5DX, good morning, David. KN4HH.
Kevin, do you hear Dave?
No, try him again, Bob, and I'll listen up too. And then BJ just popped in there as well. Bob, over.
Okay. Good morning to you, Kevin, by the way. HT5DX. HT5DX. This is K4BKC for relay. Go ahead. It is your turn, sir.
Nothing heard, Bob. I believe the group got kind of big.
Maybe. Go ahead, Kevin. This is K4BKC.
Okay, Bob. And I think we should pick up BJ, WB4YIB, to send it to W4SVA up to Chris in Virginia. Chris, man, you pounded in on the when you switch transmitters. Good morning, BJ. Send it to Virginia.
All right, Kevin. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
WB4YIV, I think that was the call, from W4SVA. Yeah, you are right in the noise, and then there at the end, you came up just enough for me to hear that you turned it to me. I believe your name is BJ. Hello to Bob, K4BKC, Perry, W3MMR. And no, I was not hearing HC5DX that time either, so I think he must have signed out. And 73 to Tim. And if you're still listening, yeah, I've noticed the same thing on my antenna as far as having the same settings for two different bands. Mine happens between 80 and 20. And I can't remember what frequency on 20 it is, but the settings are pretty much the same here on 3885 and that they are on somewhere on 20. And my feed line is just stupidly long. The tuner settings tend to be really sharp. If I change 10 kcs, I got to go adjust the tuner again. But every once in a while, I'll find that magical frequency where there's two. If I can change bands and the settings are the same, so that's always nice. And yeah, you came up considerably when you switched to the wire array. You were still copyable just fine, but when you switched to the wire array, you pounded in here, and there wasn't a whole lot of difference between the two power levels, at least at this location. Let's see. I got to keep it short because there's a lot of people in here, and I'm going to have to sign here soon too. It's getting about the time to check on the turkeys. I believe that's all I got for this transmission. So I'll say 73 to everyone, and catch you guys soon. Maybe I'll be in here tomorrow morning. I've been trying to shift my operating schedule because, as you guys know, there's not a whole lot that goes on late at night. That's when I used to operate, was late at night. There's always a few guys in there, 11, 12, 1 o'clock. And it seems like, I don't know, they're just not in there anymore. That and the time change, I'm going to start going to bed earlier than getting up sooner. Been waking up at 4 o'clock and just haven't made my way out here to the shack because it's always cold, but the trek across the yard out here to the shack is worth it. Getting all these good signals and especially the DX. That's pretty neat. HC5DX. It's not too often you hear a AM signal outside of the U.S. or Canada here on 75. So, with that, I believe well, did Gary sign or is he still in there? I'm going to send it down to him, and if he's not in there, I think it goes up to Kevin in Wisconsin, if he's still in there. I've lost track of who signed out and who's still in here. So WD4NKA, if you're still in there, go ahead and pick it up. This is W4SVA.
And I'm pretty sure he got out, Chris. Let me see if I got it. W4SVA in the group, KK4GZQ, and I also got I'm pretty sure Gary signed. And Kevin sent a message. His wife needed him, so he's out for a moment and may be back. Timtron is out. Good morning again to Tim. Great to hear him in there this morning. Good morning to Perry that just joined the group here recently, and Bob, K4BKC, and KN4HH Bob, along with WB4YIV, and I think that's who we have left here is Perry, myself, Bob, and BJ. So, good morning. It's been a pleasure to work, everybody. I've been in here since about 4:30, and Chris, I've been going to bed at 8 p.m. I can't, I start getting sleepy, and then I don't know. Ever since the time change, I've just never have gotten acclimated back over to it. I did hear David say it was 57 degrees here presently in Ecuador. And Chris, boy, your signal got really strong on the transmitter there with the amp, the Hallicrafters. I think that's an HT32 with a 37 amplifier, maybe. I probably got the model numbers wrong. Bob is just pounding in here from Colombia. huge signal, Bob. Need I say more? And Tim said he had only had 5 hours of sleep. And then Perry's been working on the Franken tuna. He's made a balanced tuner up there that just, I've seen the pictures of it on Facebook and so on. Man, does that thing ever look awesome. Nice job on that, Perry. And I'm going to send it to you after I answer Bob's question, and we'll get it on around the horn here. And Bob, yeah, we went, and I met the surgeon with Mom, and we both liked him very well. And boy, he's a pro at what he does. And that's what he specializes in. He explained it thoroughly, and it was very comforting, and told me everything to expect from the surgery itself, the recovery time, you know, how long I'll actually be in bed for or down for afterwards, which is not as long as I thought. He said where this one is at, it won't, you know, you'll be back up and running, but he did say this. He said for 6 months you need to consider getting some help on your business. He said you wouldn't want to go in there, get out there, and he says it happens. That you get out there and you get to thinking everything's healed up and fine, then you rip that thing and you're back at square one or worse. So I've taken everything in consideration, Bob. So I'm going to have to find somebody that will stick with me and try to help me here once I start getting busy again. And believe it or not, I've already got the schedule already. I've got several customers coming up in the spring. One big job, which should happen in late February. And then I'm actually going to do a job tomorrow as well, since it's going to be about 50 degrees. So thanks for asking, Bob. I appreciate that. Perry, it goes your way, and then it goes down to K4BKC, and then it goes to KN4HH, and then to WB4YIB, and then back up to me. 73 to everybody that signed. W3MMR to take it. KK4GZQ in the group.
KK4GZQ in the group. W3MMR. Let me see what we got. Okay. All right. And 7-3 to everybody who signed. I guess I got W4SVA as Bill. I guess that's, but his middle initial is C. I didn't hear him say what his name was, so I guess it, and I forget from the last time I talked to him, because I can't remember even when I had for breakfast about 15 minutes ago, so maybe he goes by his middle name. But nevertheless, 7-3 to you, Chris Bill. Real big signal up here in southeastern Pennsylvania this morning. I mean, big signal. You, Kevin, and Timmy are all up there on the 25 to 30 over mark. Here into the Anon this morning, so real good stuff, and you sound the audio sounds phenomenal. And yeah, Kevin, the tuner's working. It's chugging along back there behind me. Sorry, I was just checking out my carrier. It's chugging along and seems to be working just fine. I'm real happy with it. It tunes where, like I said, it tunes where I need to tune it, from 160 to 17 meters, and it has a little capacitance issue on 10 meters. I think it's from the braid that I used in straight capacitance, because you really don't need much capacitance at all on 10 meters. And I didn't mess with it. I got it down to like 2.5 to 1 on 10, and I gave up and came back here to operating on 80 meters last night. But I have a 10 meter Yagi, so I don't even need a tuner on 10 meters. So it's really not a big deal at all to me. It tunes where I need it to tune here, you know. So I'm very, very happy with it, and I'm getting good signal reports, and couldn't be happier. So the Franken tuna is complete. Just got to mount the damn thing on the wall or somewhere, because the thing's big. I mean, it's probably, I don't know, maybe 3 foot long by 1.5 feet wide. It's beefy, that's for sure. Real beefy. You know, most of that room came from the inductors, that rolling my own inductors with the 1/4 inch tubing. because trying to buy 2 matching roller inductors is expensive. And number one, it's hard to find 2 matching roller inductors, the same exact ones that aren't, you know, cheapy MFJ ones. And number two, it's hard to find 2 matching ones, period. Especially nice, you know, high-powered ones. They're just hard to find. And when you do find them, they're hundreds of dollars. So I said to hell with it. I'll just roll my own and tap them instead of having, you know, 2 roller inductors and a cogged timing belt, you know, connecting them together, which would have been nice. But you know, this works out fine. And a few guys helped me out with some parts. Jeff, W3MMR, and Keith, WA1HLR, both sent me some turns counters. Keith sent me one, a real nice turns counter, but the numbers were worn off of it on the dial, and I tried repainting the numbers onto the dial, and my big mechanic's hands, these concrete paws, don't do real well with small fine detail work like that, so the numbers didn't come out that great. And Jeff, W3MMR, overheard me talking to Brent, W1IA, about it, and he emailed me. He said, "Hey, is your address good on QRZ?" And I said, "Yeah." And then a few days later, a brand new in the box Groth timing or a turns counter arrived in the mail, brand spanking new in the box. Those things aren't cheap either. He had one laying around, sent it to me. So that was very nice of those guys to help me out with those parts. It definitely took some of the price, the monetary costs off the build there. So, and it's done. I'm happy with it. It's my first tuner build. It's working. It worked on the first shot. I haven't had to change nothing. Haven't had to go redesign anything. I hooked it up and it just works. So I'm very, very happy and very satisfied. So I'm going to sign, say 7-3, guys. I'm going to go do my normal, get something to eat here, scan around the bands before I got to start getting ready for work in about 15 minutes. So it's been great. It's always fun. Great signals in here this morning. Great to hear everyone in here, as always. And we'll catch up with you guys tomorrow morning. So over to you, Bob. And Bob, you have a big signal here as well, 25 over as well. So, God, great signals this morning. And Bob, KN4HH, Bob, and you're right up there, 20 over as well. So 7-3, guys. Over to you, K4BKC in the fine group from W3MMR. 7-3.
Juliet, BK1G on the little GRC9 10-1. You copy, buddy?
Yeah, you're in there, Chris, but you're low. I don't know how the guys down south are going to hear you, but you're in there. So after Bob transmits here, maybe he can try to pick you up. That's AJ1G, Bob. So maybe you could pick him up and send it to him after you're done there. K4BKC in the group W3MMR. 7-3, guys.
W3MMR in the group K4BKC. Perry, if you're signing, it's always good to hear your fine sounding station up there. It's 7-3 to you, and if I don't talk to you again, Merry Christmas. Who is it that I'm supposed to turn it to, Perry? This is K4BKC.
Alpha Juliet 1 Golf, AJ1G, Chris, up in Stonington, Connecticut. And thanks for the compliments there, Bob. Yeah, and if I don't talk to you, man, have a great Christmas holiday. And to you and your family, and I hope it's a safe and prosperous one. K4BKC, 7-3, guys, from W3MMR.
Okay, W3MMR in the group. This is K4BKC, Bob in Columbia, Tennessee. Well, good morning to all that have come on board. Hello, BJ, and hello, Alpha Juliet 1. Let's see. I know I've heard that call before, but I'm just scratching my head here. I'm sorry. I know we've probably worked, but good morning to you also. Let's see. Not a whole lot going on here in Columbia. I just Unusually got up early this morning and heard all this fine group on and wanted to say hello to everyone. Running the Collins 20V2 and listening on the R390 with a low dipole, as Maso would say, and just sitting back sipping on some coffee and enjoying the good AM signals. Kevin, I hope your surgery goes well. Just from what I heard you say, it sounds like you may be having hernia surgery. I don't know. Something like that. Or a disc, or something that involves limiting your lifting. So, behave. Don't hurt yourself. I tell you, I've got the rods and screws in my back as evidence. I know where you go. Be careful and don't mess it up and have to go back and get it redone. Life's too short. But let's see. Let me turn it to Alpha Juliet 1, the Alpha Juliet 1 station, and I'll hush for a minute. AJ1 question mark. I'm sorry I didn't quite understand what Perry was saying. But this is K4BKC, Bob in Columbia, Tennessee. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, Bob, K4BKC in Columbia, Tennessee, AJ1G. Chris is Stonington, Connecticut. And you've got a very good signal. The band is really open. Good morning, Perry. You're just booming in here. I won't hold it long. I'm running low power here. I'm on my little AN-GRC9 Army ground radio. It was used as a pack set in the field, as a field radio, as a Jeep radio, and generally all over the place. The Special Forces used it in early days of Vietnam. The Vietnamese used a lot in the Korean War. It was actually developed in World War II, at the end of World War II. About 10 watts AM and about 25 watts CW. I'm getting out of it right now. I had to put a new battery in the system. It runs off 12 volts or 24 or 6. I run it here on 12, but the battery I had a shorted cell. It was only putting out about 10.5 volts. Yeah, it wasn't working well the last couple days. I got plugged into my Model 19 wireless set, British Armored Force vehicle radio up and running here. I thought I dropped by with this morning. I'll turn it out to Kevin. I don't know who picks it up next. Perry didn't specify. I just heard Perry when I came in here. I know Kevin's in here, though. And how are you copying this little radio, Kevin? KK4GZQ in the morning AM gang. Alpha Juliet 1 Golf low power AM.
Turns it over to you, Kevin. Go ahead.
Kevin, Chris, turn it over to you.
Yeah, Perry, the band's gone short. I can't hear anybody now. AJ1G.
Yeah, nobody's transmitting. I'm getting out of here, though. I got to turn this thing off. I got to get ready for work. But 7-3, guys, W3MMR.
73, Perry. W3MMR, AJ1G, KN4HH. I'm still hearing you, Chris, but apparently Kevin isn't. So we'll give it a try here. The GRC9's doing fine, by the way, Chris. I hear you just fine. That's a nice radio, and it sounds good. The modulation's good as well. Okay, let me try DJ. DJ, you were very light the last time around, so Kevin, you may have to relay for me, but let's give it a try. WD4YIV, KN4HH.